Hey guys, this should be a quick one. This is our fifth cut. Our floor fin is almost 90 degrees. It needs a few more degrees, as we can see by the blue, but it's pretty close. Our blue looks a little thinner. We can see that we definitely got a good amount on the other side of the guide. We got some splatters across the back of the chamber. Let's see what the bore looks like. Okay, looks like I sprayed a little bit less than usual, but it's a really nice pattern. And you can see how it's going on both sides of the guide. That looks pretty good. It's a little bit less of a spot, but probably because I sprayed a little bit less. Now, all we did on this was I moved the fin a little bit, and I worked on the bowl width, right? In order to do this right, I have to do all the intake bowls within a specified amount without ruining the core thickness. So it's not the world's easiest job. The way I do it is I put a guide. I put one of my soup pilots in the guide, and then I measure from side to side on the bowl, and I get them all as close as I can possibly get them. Now, I still have a little bit of metal on these to adjust up and down with my air speeds, but we also did our first layback change on our short side. I also reduced the height of one side of the short side a little bit. Now, the short side is not thick, so you got to be real careful and very small cuts, otherwise you'll have trouble on this. But we were having the short side was losing it at like 500 lift. We know it's going to run more than 500 lift. So I need to work on the short side so it doesn't go into separation at a higher lift than that, because they're going to really spin this hard. So in order to do that, we're going to lose some low lift flow numbers. There's no question about it. But we're working on it. Okay, right down its throat, it looks pretty good. Okay, so this is what we've got. This was cut number 4. It was okay. We had a decent 300 number, which we lost quite a bit on. But we didn't really top out that great. Okay, now on Stan's site, there's a guy that did a set of these and got 245 with a 194 valve. And it's funny because Stan texts me and he goes, "Do you know those flows have been in that spot for 10 years and nobody noticed they were small block?" That's okay. But they're in the FE section. It's this number head, C6FE. Okay, so what did we do? We lost low lift everywhere. Decent losses, too. Not thrilled about it. Guess what? High RPM. You have to work on the short side. The short side is going to make or break it. Now, what... Okay, Darren does a good explanation of this, but when we have our short side like so, good for torque. We start to lay it back, right? Push this apex back further. Works better for horsepower. And I would think, the flatter this becomes, the higher the horsepower you're going to get. What that's designed to do is it's designed to just window right across the top of the valve and out chamber side. The short side's not really flowing anything at that point. Okay, so we're trying to get as much efficiency out of it as we can with where we're going. To be honest, I don't know how much lift this cam is going to run. That may be worth a call. Speak of the devil. Okay, may not be a total loss though, because we went up to 243 at 580 lift. So it's much more controlled up to that point. Now when it starts losing it, we even got gains, up here after it. Now at 237.4, see it has a P. It was starting to pulsate there. What that means is we're going into separation, and then it goes back to hugging the short side. Then it starts to go into separation. It goes back and forth. So it's ready to go. All right, let's do some pluses and minuses for our swirls and see where it is. Okay, now straightened up the fin and did some short side work and some bowl work, and we lost a little bit of swirl everywhere. Between 500 and 600, well, 500 is a little bit shy with the swirl. Got plenty at 600. I would guess, and it's only a guess, I'm not a cam guy, this will need at least a 650 lift cam. It is an endurance type engine, so I don't think 700 plus is going to work. You guys can give me a little feedback on that, and let's just compare our air speeds. Didn't touch the exhaust port at this point because the exhaust port is pretty close to where it's going to be. I don't really see a lot of gains left in the exhaust. Okay, now you're going to see where we were flowing 232, and now, even though we're into separation already, we're at 241.6. So it's only flowing a tiny bit more, and the short side's already starting to have trouble. But it's interesting when we compare our numbers here to compare our numbers here. Minus, minus, plus. Look at how even we are across the pinch. Pinch is not a problem on this head. This picked up quite a bit. This looks fairly good, right? Got some speed across the top of that bowl. Now, I did open up both sides of that bowl a little bit, so both of it was working better. This is interesting here, right? We've got more flow, but we got minus, minus, plus, because I changed not only the layback, but the apex height just a tiny bit, trying to push more air over to our slower side. So I was successful. All right, it did move more air over there, balance the short side a little bit. We have more to do. All right, guys. This is kind of the 80-20 rule, right? You get 80% of the gains, the first 20% of the work. Now it gets to the nitty-gritty. That's why I'm only doing the intake at this port and at this point. And we just got to finesse a little bit more here and there and see what we can do without exceeding the castings limits. And that's what it's going to be. Almost ready to start bolted on the intake. I think I will do, if I remember, I will do a little bit more on the intake port, and then we'll bolt that intake up, and then we'll start hitting that. Because it doesn't make any sense to make the intake ports flow in excess of 250 if it can't get the intake manifold there. Now, we've got it on good intel that intake will flow 300 plus. I've never seen a dual plane go anywhere near that, but anything's possible. We'll find out. All right, guys. Thanks for hanging out. Have a good night.